The Amazing Spider-Man 2. This is a very interesting movie to talk about because this personally for me is a movie that I very much have a love-hate relationship with. And I'll delve more into that. I love Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man, and I am a big fan of the previous Amazing Spider-Man. And there are things in this movie that I do think are genuinely amazing, pun intended. But this movie, at the same time, it's definitely has a lot of divisive stuff and just a lot of lows. And it's so frustrating, this movie. I would definitely say that's the best word to describe this movie. Because obviously, I think if you've seen a lot of this movie, it has some of the best Spider-Man moments. You know, obviously the web swinging and other stuff is incredible in the movie, but unfortunately some of the story elements definitely make this a frustrating movie from time to time. So in this video, I'm going to be talking about The Amazing Spider-Man 2, and more importantly, I'm going to be talking about why The Amazing Spider-Man 2 is a very frustrating movie for me. Hello everyone, my name is Ryan, and welcome back to Grandview Entertainment, as we will be discussing The Amazing Spider-Man 2, released back in 2014, starring Andrew Garfield, Emma Stone, Jamie Foxx, Dane DeHaan, among others, as this is the sequel to 2012's The Amazing Spider-Man, and for a lot of people, this is considered the worst Spider-Man movie. And for some people, especially now in recent years, it's been gaining somewhat of an audience of people that actually love the movie and defend it very much. Now, I'm going to give you my personal experience with the movie because my thoughts have changed throughout the years. And this is the only Spider-Man movie for me that my thoughts have actually changed. For me, it's usually I love all the Spider-Man movies for the most part, and I knew that from the beginning since watching them. But even just movies in general, I know if I love them and I know if I hate them, and if I'm in the middle on them. If my opinion changes somewhat, it's very minute, but I've never really had a movie where I watched it the first time and I absolutely loved it and then it turned out I hated it, and vice versa. Sometimes you watch a movie and you'll be like, I didn't like it as much, or I liked it more. That's definitely happened, but this instance with The Amazing Spider-Man 2 is the first time I've definitely had a big change, in my opinion, on the movie. Starting with more of the positives I'll delve into is that this is still, to this day, we'll see what Brand New Day comes, but as of right now, this is the best looking Spider-Man movie. It's absolutely amazing visually. Spider-Man swinging through the city has never looked better, and the action scenes as well are just shot beautifully. You can tell where they put the money for this movie, and they put a lot of effort into the visuals of this movie, which definitely is a huge pro. And along with Andrew Garfield and Emma Stone are just as strong, if not even stronger, in this movie as Peter Parker and Gwen Stacy. So there are a lot of good elements between them, as their chemistry is amazing, as obviously they were still dating in real life. And Spider-Man in this movie is very much even more so like the comics, and you definitely feel the Spider-Man presence that Andrew Garfield has in this movie, and how great of a Spider-Man he truly was, in my opinion. Now, as I was saying earlier, really delving into the movie and watching it now as I'm more grown up, I'm able to understand and appreciate the positives more. And I think rewatching a movie, you notice more things as time goes on, and this definitely happened with that movie. So while you're able to see a lot more of the positives, at that same time, those negatives that I noticed before are still there. Plus, you find even more negatives when you really delve deeply into the movie. Obviously, the villains have always been a talking point where I don't think Electro was as bad as people were saying, in the sense where he's one of the worst comic book villains of all time, but he certainly is not as good in this movie, and I think especially in No Way Home, he seems a lot better, especially Jamie Foxx's performance. He just seems like a better Electro in that movie. In this movie, it just seems a little weird, the story arc they decided to give him of him being obsessed with Spider-Man and being a super nerd. And then when it comes to the other two villains, they just don't really feel like a part of this movie. They kind of seem like just kind of there for, their purposes. They have a few purposes in the movie. Of obviously the Green Goblin is there to kill Gwen Stacy, and the Rhino's there to fight Spider-Man in the beginning and be there at the end. That literally seems like their only reasons for being in the movie. They don't really service the plot or the story in any other way than Green Goblin must kill Gwen Stacy and Rhino must be there in beginning and end, especially in the end, so we can show off that trailer shot of Spider-Man swinging the sewer lid at him and then never actually get a result to that fight, which was so frustrating, I remember, for me. And I was like, how could you end a movie like that? But besides the point a little bit, the characters in these movies just don't really seem like they serve a purpose, especially the villains. We have such well-written characters like Peter Parker and Gwen Stacy, but then we get characters like the Green Goblin that seem rushed, and Rhino, who just seem to be in the movie for really no reason. And then they kind of, doesn't give Electro his time to shine then, because you're kind of interfering with these two characters. So once again, there's just too many cooks in the kitchen, and there's just too many characters in this movie. And when it goes beyond that, too, they bring back Peter Parker's parents, which I can defend in the first movie. I think, obviously, they're not the best characters, and their inclusion was a little overhyped in the first movie, obviously being told as the untold story. But it seems like there is somewhat of a purpose and a connection there. But now in the sequel, we just kind of bring them back, which, and kind of retread a lot of stuff we already said. But then they do, in my opinion, the worst thing they've done so far in this franchise, and maybe in all Spider-Man movies, is that they made Peter Parker's dad's blood in the spiders that bit Peter, which basically meant Peter Parker was the only person that could have become Spider-Man, which in my opinion is very anti the character of Spider-Man, of that anybody could wear the mask, and that, it was truly an accident that he got bit by that spider. And so in that sense, that does a lot when I watch it, where I just don't like that particular, storyline they decided to go with. But that kind of overall sums up my frustrations with The Amazing Spider-Man 2, and that's probably going to be the title of this video, but it's just frustrating because the negatives in the movie are there, and they're very, I felt could have been fixable. But also that's because the positives in this movie are so good, it makes you frustrated when you think about the negatives. So it kind of goes twofold for me. The positives are really good, so that frustrates me that, there's negative stuff in the movie that kind of brings down the positive stuff. And also, the negative stuff, I feel like it could have been reworked to where it wasn't as bad as it was in the movie. But overall, I do like this movie. I would overall give it a positive score, as I don't believe there is a bad Spider-Man movie. But for me, it definitely goes on the line of mixed good. And not just like the first movie, which I generally think is a really great movie. This movie suffers from a lot of probably studio interference, which has been stated in the past, but just a story with just too much going on. And for me, that is just extremely frustrating, because this could have been one of, if not the best, Spider-Man movie. And that's going to do it for today's video. Thank you for checking out this video and checking out my channel, Grandview Entertainment. As always, if you could please like and subscribe to the channel. I have a lot of exciting content on the way. More movie reviews, more movie talks, and movie ideas that I would like to share with you guys. So as always, like I said, please like and subscribe. And thank you for checking out my channel, and I will see you in the next video.